Welcome to the Point Noted podcast with your host, Johnny B, and co-host who shows up whenever he wants to, former NFL player, Rashad Barksdale. It's raw, unfiltered, and no topic is off limit. We talk sports, entertainment, culture, and a whole lot of random shit. Let's get to the point.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Point Noted podcast, and I'm your host, Johnny B, with my co-host, OCO. OC, what up?
How's it going, guys?
Good, man. We got a young queen in the house, man. A really special guest. She's running for Congress in Florida. I was 24. Welcome to the show, Sakinah Lehtola. How you doing, Sakinah?
Hi, y'all. I'm doing well. Hanging in there. How y'all doing?
We're here, man. No longer worried about COVID-19. Look like we killed it.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
Right? Look, well, we're not talking about it, so we must have killed it, right?
It's hard, the media and all of the timelines and everything seems like can only handle one thing at a time, which we really got to work on.
Exactly. But let me ask you this. First question out of curiosity. What is the origin of your last name? I find that very interesting.
My last name is Finnish.
Finnish, okay.
That's as much as I know about it. I don't really know, much deeper than that, but it's Finnish.
Right.
My mom, my family.
Wait, any of your parents in Finnish?
So my mom's side of the family is white, so they're like Irish, Greek, Finnish.
Mix, a whole lot of mix.
Like a mix of all the, European places, really. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so that's where my last name comes from.
Well, that is definitely, it is unique, and I'm glad I didn't butcher it. I've been butchering last names on this show, like, every single time.
Yeah, I was surprised you asked about the pronunciation of my last name and not my first name. You did
right. Well, thank you. See, OC, I told you I'm moving up. I just be glad it was me to say and not OC. So, you're running for Congress. Tell us why are you running?
Yeah, take a moment. Like, why? What is the why of your campaign?
Well, the why of the campaign and the why I'm running, I guess they're the same. I'll start backwards by starting with the why of the campaign. The easiest way to break into that is to just go with the slogan, which is a movement, not a moment.
Not a moment. I love it.
Yeah, movement, not a moment, because we get so lost in electoral politics. Without combining activism and a lot of other components, electoral politics can only go so far, which is, why we're at where we're at. So movement, not a moment is the slogan, because every time people were asking me, when I was having my conversations before I formally started the campaign, but when I already, knew I was going to run, every time I was explaining it to people, I was like, yeah, because it's a movement. It's not about just this one election. It's about creating momentum and, in the district that lasts forever. So what I mean by that is basically we have a 4-point platform. So progressive policy, which I'm sure we'll talk plenty about, and then community engagement. And so for me, what that means is community engagement from our elected officials, especially our congressional representatives, considering the fact that the House is only in session for about 1/3 of the year. And it's done that way on purpose. That way the time can be split with doing work, in DC and actually being on the ground in the district and doing work within the community.
Absolutely.
And so if more of our elected officials and representatives at the federal and local level would spend more time in the community, and what I mean by that is meeting with teachers and school districts, visiting the prisons and finding out what's going on there, holding our state and local elected officials accountable, like the Miami-Dade County mayor and things like that, then we would see so much more could be done.
Right.
You mean like represent the people? Is that what you're saying?
Basically,
Basically, do your job, huh?
Yeah, I mean the U.S. House of Representatives is literally the people's house. It was created to make sure that we were all equally represented and we had people fighting for us. And that's just not what we have. We have a bunch of people that go sit in Washington for a few weeks and then go sit at home in their multi-million-dollar homes for a few weeks and, make some nice tweets about these really fluffy policies that they're supposedly fighting for. And that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time they're raising money.
Yep, exactly. And they don't even, some of them, like my opponent, they don't even have to raise it. They just get it. Because it's tax, and it just comes in automatically. They don't have to fundraise. They don't have to campaign. They don't have to debate, because they don't vote. But it's not so simple because we're so poor and so sick and so tired. We're barely getting by week to week, never mind keeping up with all these elections that happen at 3 different times in the year. It's difficult. It's hard to keep up with, and it's that way on purpose. So that's why, our platform is, that's why our campaign is so well-rounded. And that's why I'm so committed to really, redefining, as corny as it might sound, what it means to be a representative, which is on my first flyer that I had made. Because, we've just settled because this is what we've been given. It's what we've always known.
Right.
And every time we try to fight and push for progress and true justice and not equality but equity, we're always told it's not possible by the same people that made deliberate decisions to get us here.
Right. Absolutely.
And so that's part 2.
Okay, go ahead.
Super quick, which is political accessibility. And what that means is, for instance, the Miami-Dade, it's things as simple as automatic voter registration, not scrubbing people off the polls as often as they do, and things like that. But also the Miami-Dade County Commission meetings are held at 9 a.m. on Tuesdays. Everybody has to be at work in a government building that you need ID to get into. And the irony there is that it's downtown Miami, and right outside of that building are tons of people experiencing homelessness who can't even get into that meeting to go advocate for or against things that are going to hurt or harm them, like the $400 million new jail that they're trying to build in Miami using our taxpayer dollars, despite the fact that crime has been in decline and we could literally condense jails and close some because of how many empty beds we have.
Wow.
Wait, how much you said about $400 mil?
400 mil.
Man, business is booming for them.
A hotel.
But then we don't have money for housing or infrastructure or any real jobs, or let's say grocery stores, or like it's absolutely insane. We had a bunch of activists and a bunch of community members went to the commission meeting. I think it was March 2nd, right before everything shut down. And because we showed up, took off work, paid $15 for parking, sat there all day because they ended up tabling the time for reasonable comment to talk about other things because someone had to leave early. Because of that, they tabled it, but they're back and talking about it again.
Wow.
Yet we have hundreds of people literally living on the streets in Overtown, in Liberty City, in Little Haiti, all over District 24, and the Homeless Trust that gets $90 million a year. It's a mess. Yeah. So
we got to get doing that. Start making changes.
It's important. But the last part that I'm committed to is empowerment through knowledge, because people being able to get to voting or come to the commission meetings and stuff doesn't matter if people aren't aware of how to use their voice, how to use their power, and how to maneuver all the systems. Yeah. So that's the overall goal of the campaign. That's why we're here. That's why we're fighting. That's why that's why I'm running. I grew up poor. I've been working since I was 13, and it took me a long time, even after studying political science and getting my bachelor's, to really understand how much politics and policy affect people and how much we're really just drowned out by falsified media,
Absolutely.
Let me give you this one gift. You never say you grew up poor. Say you grew up broke, because like they always try to point out, poor is a state of mind, and you are definitely not that. I mean, the passion I hear from you is it's inspirational. Well, let me ask you this. Representative Wilson is a big personality.
Mm-hmm.
Not for the reasons you would expect a representative to be. I mean, the
The big
hat
hats.
and all that
Hats.
stuff. And your district is such a populous district. How are you? When is the primary, by the way?
August 18th.
Oh
August
wow, okay,
18th.
so it's got some time.
Yeah.
So how are you fighting the uphill battle of getting attention out? Has she even agreed to a debate?
No. So far, her campaign has pretty much just ignored us, which honestly is probably to their benefit because I don't really know what they could say that wouldn't make them sound like a bully, honestly.
Right.
So I think right now they're just hoping that I'll just go away, you know, and they'll never, because addressing me is going to give me attention, you know.
Of course. Absolutely.
They're much better off if I don't get any attention. So that's where we're at with that right now. In terms of fighting the uphill battle, that's where, you know, when COVID started, I had two choices. I could, you know, commit all my time to making fundraising calls and doing more research and writing more editorials and you know, filling out all these forms and all this stuff, or I could go get on the ground and volunteer my time. And so I decided, I basically decided, and I said, listen, the only reason I wouldn't go volunteer and do all these food distributions and spend my time, you know, we have a really cool site that I'll tell you about in a minute, is because it would cause me to lose. But at the end of the day, I'm running to help people in these exact situations.
Exactly.
Help now with the goal of being able to help in the future completely goes over the point of, you know, doing it all and being well-rounded. And honestly, that's helped. It really has, because, you know, I've been talking about it. I've been telling my story. I've been saying who I am. But, you know, for the past few months, I got to put my actions where my mouth is. And people really got to see me for who I am and understand, you know, where I stand and where my energy lies and where my priorities are. And so that's what we've stuck to, is being policy forward, you know, trying to bring awareness as much as we can to the issues, especially the homelessness. Like it is so disastrous. And I always tell people, I want you to just come visit, like just come walk with me.
Seriously,
like,
it's that bad, huh?
It is so bad. And it's so sad because these are historically Black cities. Right.
And I can only imagine it's gotten worse since the protest is going on, right?
Yeah, I mean, but that's just because the police are super intimidating. You know, they're trying to escalate. I was at a march on Sunday. It was absolutely beautiful for like 5 hours. And then at one point the police lined up, you know, they had like 30 cars. It was so many people, so many officers. And then one of the sergeants or captains or somebody got on and said he was using some Florida statute to declare it an unlawful assembly. And we all had 15 minutes to not just like get out of that parking lot, but to get out of like the entire circumference of the area that we were in. They had blocked off roads and gave us only certain ways to get out. 15 minutes. And they played like the Purge music.
Really?
Yeah, like that theme song, yes. And 15 minutes was not, like, there was so many people. And 15 minutes was not even a reasonable enough amount of time for people to get to their cars. Never mind for everybody to get out. You know? So, and I mean, it didn't end up ending in 15 minutes. It was really cool. I went to leave. I got to the highway, and everyone was, like, packed on the highway. So I just parked, and I just started playing some songs and bringing the vibes. And it was a really beautiful day, but there were so many instances where the police were just trying to intimidate and trying to rile us up. And I'm really proud. I am so proud because there were hundreds of people. I couldn't even believe how many people there were. And the fact that everyone, you know, kind of stood their ground and didn't let their emotions get the best of them, even though they absolutely deserved to, was really great. And it just really sucks that the media doesn't talk about that.
Right. And it's really crazy because you can tell there's a lack of leadership in the police department side, right? Because all over the country, no one is coming out and just saying, okay, this is what we're going to try to do. what can we do, right? It just seems like they're just out there. They have lost, like they don't know exactly what are we supposed to do to fix it right now.
But
so
think about it. Like, you don't even need to go to college to become a police officer.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
right.
like in Massachusetts, the police academy is 6 months. Like you have to go to school for 2 years to do hair.
It's crazy.
Doing hair is not, you know, it's great. I can't do it. I think it's amazing. But to be an officer and literally have the power to kill somebody, to falsely imprison people, you literally 6 months?
6 months of training.
Basically a glorified boot camp. In Germany, it's a 4-year training program.
It needs to be. It has
4
to
years.
be.
4 years before you get a badge. 4 years before you get a gun. 4 years.
That's what it should be.
It should be.
Like 6 months is
they
nothing.
should have to go to college. They should have to study, you know, behavioral sciences like sociology and psychology, criminal justice, all that kind of stuff. And on top of that, a lot of people wouldn't persevere through that 4 years, you know? And if you want a leadership position like that, if you want power like that, you need to be able to stick like 4 years, really. That's nothing.
Well, okay. So, I mean, see, I'm not sure about the 4 years of college because
no, I mean,
at least those classes, like those classes can be done in a 2-year associate's program.
Yeah,
I just feel like a lot of them don't want to go to school, right? I feel like you join.
What we're saying here, the 4 years of training is not. You can't train 4 years to arrest someone. The 4 years of training is the psychology. How to de-escalate situations, the physical stuff, you know, the rules, knowing the laws, knowing really what you're charging people for, what you can and can't do. I mean, that's what college is. That's what that is. It's
a mental development, right. But what I'm saying is, though, a lot of these guys are the police officers. They don't want to read all that books or do all that reading and learning. That has to be a lot of reasons.
You can't have that job.
That's the point. That takes like critical thinking, which critical thinking is important when you're, you know, deciding to take someone's life or not, or, you know, oh, hey, this person is suffering from some type of, you know, mental illness, you know, being able to react to situations differently. Like you can't learn that in a 6-month, like you said, glorified boot camp, which is what it is. It's all about the physical strength and physical power and nothing about the cognitive, like, you know, needs that are necessary.
Absolutely. So. And what you would actually find is if you made that a 4-year training course and it's more about the mental aspect of it, and it would balance out your department. You would have a lot of highly intelligent people, a lot more women, because you de-emphasize the physical aspect of the job and emphasize the mental and knowing the laws and knowing what to do, how to de-escalate. All that stuff. You still have a SWAT team for the crazy times, crazy situations, but not. It's not wartime every day. I mean, literally, these guys were. We're talking about doctors and nurses not having PPE, and these dudes have like Batman costumes for each guy. It's unbelievable. So I can see where your passion comes from, because these guys basically. People are protesting police brutality, and the police are literally showing every reason why people should be out on the streets.
Right, showing you exactly why. But Sakinah, let me ask you this though. So we're talking about possibly, you know, I think you and OC are agreeing that maybe cops should be going 4 years in school or whatever. So one of the things I think that can make this a lot easier, it's maybe they do a year or 2 years of some kind of educational program that gets somebody to be a police officer. But every 3 or 6 months, they have to go back and do some kind of like see, I used to work with, you know, where you work in the house with mentally challenged individuals. And every 3 months, we have to go to a weekend class where you're learning about behaviors and you're learning how to deal with their attitude and things like that. I mean, I think that would be a lot. That would probably be an easier implementation, wouldn't it be?
Continued education credits.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's, and especially, you know, times change and things change, and we can even see just how much of these procedures that they're using now, like the knees on the neck, are so outdated, but they're clearly still being taught. I want to touch back on something though that's kind of a little bit different in topic, but we were talking about some how if we made it, you know, more mental, we would see more diversity. You know, and things like that. And we talk and more women. And I think it's really interesting because, you know, the biggest argument for why women can't be police officers is because of the physical aspect.
Right.
But my wonder is like, how often do police officers have to retake their physical exams? Because not to be rude or disrespectful at all, but there are plenty of officers who are definitely older men who are definitely not in good physical condition, but they do their job no problem. Yet women coming in are, you know, given the runaround and pushed extra hard just to have to prove themselves when they could, you know, probably outrun and outbeat a lot of these other officers. So that was really that just.
No, you're definitely right.
I agree with you on that. Let's take a step back a little bit. Where'd you go to college?
University of South Florida in Tampa.
Right, and you did what, political science?
Yeah, I started in business because, you know, I'm the first person in my family to go to college, and I didn't really know anything about the majors or what I wanted to do in life. So I did international business with marketing because, I knew I wanted to be global. I knew I wanted to be in the international sphere. And marketing is really open-ended because I knew I didn't actually want to work in business. Like, I knew I didn't want to do accounting or finance or anything. So marketing was open-ended where, you know, if I meet somebody that is hiring for a completely different position, but they think I can do it, I'll get hired. You know, it's not so specific like finance or education or something. And then I switched once I got to my second year and I hated all the classes.
Did you like political science though? Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, I did. I hated the classes like policy administration, you know, and like state and local government, like the black and white things. But I loved, my favorite classes were globalization and the environment and international wealth and power. Like the classes that really go into the deep root causes of all of the current issues and things that we're facing, and really talk about the complexities of all the issues, because people really talk about everything from one frame of mind, which is even something I'm working on, you know, being open-minded and not just open-minded because, you know, there's right and wrong and stuff like that, but, you know, not being so trapped in my own perspective that I'm able to understand more. And because none of these issues are black and white, they're extremely gray with a multitude of different shades of gray all in between, you know?
Right.
So those were the classes I really loved. But yeah, I really did enjoy it. It was a great.
Yeah, I know every student that ever took political science, they were just glad they did it. It's some eye opening in those courses that you probably can't get anywhere else except for taking those classes. But I understand your family was in the military, so you have some military background.
Yeah. So my stepfather, the man who raised me, him and my mom got married before I was 2. He's in the Air Force still. It's been almost 23 years now.
Wow.
He's 40. He just did, because he joined like right when he was 18. He just had his last deployment though in October. So he's not doing any more deployments. I mean, so he says now. So he says. So, you know, I lived on Eglin Air Force Base up in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, until I was 9. And you know, I love the troops. I support the troops, but I do not love the military-industrial complex. I do not support these endless wars. And the best way and the best thing that we can do for my dad and for the troops and for all these people that we love so much is to stop sending them to die for greed and profit. And that's my stance on that. I think we need to increase the military budget and invest that money in healthcare and infrastructure and education, and environmental reform.
And the soldiers who served.
Yeah.
Right, the veterans. Yeah. They come back and they just become the afterthoughts.
It's unreal. It's I don't want to detract because I want to stay focused on everything Sakinah is doing. But yeah, definitely we get so distracted. And for a country that glorifies, and not correctly so, what these guys do, and then they come back and they're just forgotten. It's unreal.
And it's so insane because, and I don't know, like I don't know the exact specifics, but what I've learned from Raheem's experience, my stepdad, is, you know, I finally realized why we have so many veterans experiencing homelessness It's because, like, you know, when you sign up, when you get recruited, it's very misleading. It is not clear. One of the things Raheem was always saying, you know, because we did a live a few weeks back, and he was like, you know, I always tell them, get everything in writing. When you're doing anything with the military, you need to get everything in writing, because kids come in thinking they're signing up for one thing, and it turns out to be something completely different. On top of that, you know, if you don't do X amount of years, again, I'm not positive on the specifics. If you don't do X amount of years, if you quote unquote drop out, or what, you know, all those labels that they put to try and disgrace people who just can't take it anymore, then you get nothing. You know, you don't get all of the things that were promised to you. So if you can't do 6 years, 4 years, 10 years, whatever you thought you could do when you were fresh and ready and thinking, hey, I'm going to fight for the good old whatever, then you actually got to the war zone and were like, oh my God, this is absolutely treacherous.
It's not for me.
And you end up with nothing, no money, no education if you didn't have it already, no housing, nothing. And then even then, the VA is so underfunded and awful. It's just all so messed up. And they love to say, you know, support the troops, don't take a knee. And all I gotta say is, when Raheem's not in his even when he is, he's just a big black guy to y'all.
Right.
I don't want to hear that. Send your kids to die.
Right. No, they're not doing that. No.
Well, it's if you go down the list of items that really are lacking, this past 2-3 generations of leaders have basically done such a massive disservice to the people. Infrastructure, healthcare, there's so many things, and obviously those are the things I see on your website. Let's go kind of from your district to the state to the federal scene. What's your take on the state of Florida as it is right now? Obviously, just recently passing the rights for ex-convicts to vote. That's a big thing. We also got.
I support that.
Yeah, we also got.
Finally, we had to take it to court because we passed it, and they tried to be like, "Oh no."
Right. There's that. There's also the new Supreme Court appointment, which was a young black woman. So what do you think? What's your thoughts on Florida with some of those topics?
Florida. I love Florida because I love the weather. You know, I love a lot of things about Florida, but the politics and the government is so disappointing, and Florida is so far behind. That was one of the reasons that I stuck with my guns to run for Congress instead of a state house or state Senate seat.
Right.
You know, that was a conversation. So many people, obviously older than me, obviously a lot of people who had run before, things like that, who really, really, really tried to talk me out of running and to run for not a lesser seat, because everything is important, but a different seat. Because I'm not smart or vocal enough or ready or passionate or intelligent enough, but because of how the system is set up to fail and there's no way I can win, basically.
Right.
And you know, when you have that many conversations, obviously you do start to think about it. But what had made me decide to run was in 2017, when Trump came in. I was in DC and I was working with refugee resettlement, and then he did the Muslim ban. And the majority of my clients that I was working with were refugees from Iraq and Afghanistan who were special immigrant visa holders, who worked with our military. What that is, those are people who fought with our military. When we were in their countries, whether on whatever side, they're pretty much veterans of our military that helped us fight the Taliban and the terrorist organizations, because we promised them that they and their families would be able to come here for safety and refuge later. So like I said, you know, I studied political science. I was in DC right after graduation. I grew up on Section 8 and food stamps and all that stuff. But it wasn't until that moment that it finally clicked, like, whoa, so this is how politics impacts people.
Right.
And that was when I was like, well, fine, nobody's doing anything about it, so maybe I'll run for Congress. And it was just 3 years ago now, when I was barely 22. And from there, it just kind of became what it is. But what I'll say is that Florida is so behind in terms of criminal justice reform, racial justice, environmental justice, wages and housing and everything, that I was like, I was like, okay, maybe I will run for a state house seat and do it the right way and wait my turn and whatever. I would get to Tallahassee and I would be so frustrated because I can't just look at Florida. And on top of that, Florida's so slow. People say it takes 10 years to pass a good bill. And so if we wait for Florida to, legalize marijuana and expunge past convictions, then by the time that happens, it's going to be decades from now. The entire industry is going to be monopolized, and so many Black people are still going to have spent their lives in jail for a dime bag.
Right. That's why I can never live in Florida.
Yeah, if we wait for Florida to hop on climate change, Miami's going to be underwater even sooner than the current predictions. Right. So I was like, It doesn't make sense. I would rather run for the seat that was put on my heart in the first place and do everything in my power to win. And, we're going to win. But even if I didn't, I'm 25. And the point is a movement, not a moment. So regardless of what happens in August, we are creating something that will live on forever, that's going to start redistributing the power in the district and in this community, because this is the heart of Black Miami. This is the blackest district in the state.
Wow.
To put that in perspective of South Florida, from districts 20 to 27, they range from 7 to 11% Black.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
District 24 is 56% Black.
Wow, I did not know that. I'm actually in Tampa.
With that, and I say, oh yeah, District 24 is 56% Black. We're like, okay, like half. But when you look at the fact that most of the districts in South Florida, the other 7 of them or 6 of them, are less than 10% Black, and we are the poorest out of all of them, and then the second poorest congressional district in the entire state, aside from one of the districts all the way up north. Mm-hmm. That's crazy, and that's intentional. That's intentional. Right. The majority of the Black population of Miami-Dade County lives in the cities in District 24. So you got Little Haiti and Overtown. Those are historic Black cities that have just had the life sucked out of them and the wealth sucked out of them and are being gentrified, and it's completely disgusting.
So that's based from your perspective, this is a good thing in the sense of the reason you're running is to help those people, but it's also a good thing because you can reach those people, and you have been reaching those people. Mm-hmm. What is the feedback from the community? Obviously, with all the protests and everything, everybody is saying, okay, protest, but on election day, y'all got to vote.
Right.
So what's been the feedback working with the communities, getting people excited? The feedback from people to say, hey, we're going to vote for you come August.
I think that's where everything really clashes, and the hardest part comes in, which is that people don't believe in electoral politics anymore.
They don't.
At all, especially after everything that happened. Like the caucuses that we use to decide the presidential candidate are so undemocratic, with coin tosses that we literally are watching on video and seeing with our own eyes are not accurate. All the way, like everything, people just don't believe that voting matters. And so that's the biggest challenge. But at the same time, back around the time when Bernie started to drop out and the beginning of the primary, not the beginning of the primaries, towards the end when there was only a few candidates left, right? Everyone was over electoral politics and everything. But I think that everything that just sparked up recently, with coronavirus, really the blatant lack of response, after it took people to realize how bad the government was responding, but now they have, combined with, and they're watching the money go to the big businesses, and they're watching, the billionaires make money while we are all out of work, and they're watching the unemployment systems crash. They're watching people be illegally evicted. And then coupled with the boiling over, which I'm going to say finally, the boiling over of racial, movement. And I'm saying finally because we've been sitting down and being polite, and we still are very polite in my opinion, but we've been sitting down trying to explain it and help them see we're people too. We're just like you, love is love and whatever for so long. And they've just been killing us. And so when you take those two very intense, just so stacked issues, people now, what I've seen in the past, I would say 2 weeks is a complete shift where people are finally understanding why we must combine. It's not vote or march. It's both.
Right.
It's both.
Right.
And that's what I always say. We can march and riot and burn everything down if we want to, but unless the people with legislative power to change the laws decide to care, it won't matter. So both are important. So that, I think, is what has been so, I don't even have a word for it, to me, is to see so many people now, like today, so many people that were never even like speaking on anything, not just speaking out for Black lives, but posting, the voter deadline and the August primary date and the fact that you have to register to vote by July 20th and all this stuff. Like just today, like dozens and dozens of posts, so people, it's finally clicked. So at first I was like, dang, the voter turnout's going to be so low this time around because the momentum is down.
It's going to be high, man.
But because now people get it. And now people are looking. People used to wait for people to come to them, but now people are starting to look, okay, who's running in my area? Who should I help fight? How can we help? How can we help? So I think definitely, yes. I think people are finally, things are so bad that we can't, all the fluff is gone and all the paint and all the masks are off. And so now people are motivated because they see, oh, dang, look, if we do this and then we call these people out and then we show up to replace them, like we can have change.
Right. So, and being a young person and, having a college degree, just to stick with your policies here for a bit, since OC opened that door up already. I noticed you have a student loan policy, and just talk about that a little bit. Obviously, you having a military exposure in family, I'm sure you get some grants and things like that. But there's a tons of people out here that has over 50K, over 100K. I would love to have my loan canceled out. We should plan on student. For real, I would love to have my loan taken away.
I was just looking at my refinanced loan. Well, not mine, my wife's, who went to med school, and it's like, forget about it. But go ahead.
Right, it's a lot of money. But so, what's your plan on that? What do you plan to do about this student loans?
Actually, since my stepfather never adopted me, my mom didn't let him because I didn't meet my real father till I was 13. So when she was married, she didn't let my father adopt me because if I grew up and changed my mind or, met my dad and was like, oh my gosh. So I actually don't benefit from the GI Bill or anything like that. And it's actually something he's been struggling with because like I told you, he's done over 20 years and they're giving him problems with his GI Bill for the other kids. So it's that. Yeah. But what I will say, so I have 30,000 in student loan debt. I did work. I did work full time in school. I was a waitress and bartended, but because I don't have I had no financial security anywhere. Like I didn't have, a single family member that if, let's say I couldn't pay my rent or something, call and help. So I still worked full time. And then on top of that, I only took out the loans that were offered through like the FAFSA. I didn't take out, any Sallie Mae or anything like that, but I did take out the max each time. And that was the money I used to pay my rent, to pay my car insurance, buy all my books right away. And then
I did the same.
So so I have 30K. And I think the thing that's interesting that people really don't understand when we talk about student loan debt is they're just thinking of a bunch of 25-year-olds, who want to have their loans forgiven so they can go splurge money. But student loan debt literally affects people of all ages.
Right.
Our entire economy is bogged down by people drowning in student loan debt. And
Absolutely.
even the student loan forgiveness program that exists for people who work in nonprofits and as teachers in fields that are so necessary that society would crumble without them, but make no money. That's so ironic. That's the whole reason that student loan forgiveness exists in the first place, is because our government knows how bad our wages are.
Absolutely.
But that program, you have to pay your loans consistently for 10 years before you even qualify.
And they're not given that. I think
Like, if anything, you need your loans forgiven the most when you first graduate.
right.
You know, and
Absolutely.
then that's how they get so much higher, because you're making payments consistently for 10 years, but then, you know, you have all the interest. And if you miss a payment, then you have to start over, and then you don't qualify for student loan forgiveness. So the only way to truly address the student loan crisis is to forgive all debt. And let me explain why I say that.
Okay.
In a need-based system, is just going to clog the system. Between the administrative costs and everything else, it's not meant to be a need-based welfare program. It's meant to alleviate the debt. Betsy DeVos has the power to do it right now.
Right.
Literally forgive all student loan debt. Student loan debt is a predatory system. It plays on the need for people to go to college. Back in the day, you only needed a high school degree to get a job. Now most jobs require a bachelor's degree and still pay no money. And tuition goes up, not because they got better teachers. Shoot, most of the classes are not even taught by professors. They're taught by TAs who are paid nothing.
Nothing.
You know,
So they don't give a shit. Right.
And it's just our entire education system is for profit. You know, look at how much the presidents of universities make. Look at how much goes to the head of athletics, but the athletes can't work, are not allowed to work while they're playing sports, but then they're not allowed to make money off of being sponsored. Like, you know.
I mean, after making money, that's a whole different conversation that we have to get into. After myself, so I definitely.
Well, I get that, but also, like, you can't forbid them from being able to work at the same. Like, you know, it's just
right.
You know, there's just a lot of things, and think about it. We talk about the housing market and all the economy would boom. People aren't buying houses. People aren't having children because everyone's drowning in debt.
1.5 trillion.
People are going to buy homes. They're going to buy cars. They're going to start businesses.
Right. 1.6 trillion. And I'll give you this, because you're going to win and you need to have alternative steps.
Oh, she's going to win. See, I like that. Look at that. Speak that into existence.
The backdrop of this is, you're right. It is predatory. It makes no sense. The schools take the money now. The banks have you in their pocket for ages afterwards. And it's completely makes no sense. To get an education, to be a productive member of citizens, a productive citizen of a country, should not be something that bankrupts people. So here's the alternative. Since most people will say, well, what about the people who paid their loans and then this guy bought a car and he spent all his money on this and that and he hasn't paid his loan, but I saved my money and I paid off my loan. So the counter argument to that, I think an alternative is, if we can't pay off the loans of everybody, what about just zeroing out the interest rates? I'll tell you why that's a good way to look at it, as a second option. If you zero out the interest rate.
Well, hold on, OC. So your proposal is, because everybody's gonna be complaining about it, why not take out the interest rate? So let me hear what Sakinah's thinking about that. Like, what would be, because like you said, there will be people out there.
Okay, so this is my immediate thought is, you said, what if we can't forgive student loan debt? And that right there, we can. That's the whole point. We literally can. So we need to, we're not giving them a second option. Why would we give them a second option when the system is deliberate? All these systems are deliberate. They're all tied together.
I agree.
And so, that whole mentality of anybody that's like, well, I suffered and paid my student loans, so you should too. Well, then maybe you should have started advocating for student loan forgiveness back when you got your student loan debt.
Right.
So I could say, oh no, we shouldn't do anything to address the homeless crisis because I was homeless for 5 years.
And now I'm no longer homeless. Right. So you're saying too fucking bad, huh? Basically, too bad.
Yeah, but that's why that's why the biggest thing that we have to do is reframe our political ideology in this country and how like we go back and forth on policy and stuff because we haven't decided as a people what do we deserve.
What is right, what is wrong.
What are our minimum basic rights? For instance, I believe every human being has a right to a safe place to lay their head every night that is not on the streets. Facts. I firmly believe that every person should have access to health care regardless of their income. If they need to see a doctor, if they need a surgery, they should be able to get it. And it should not make them homeless, and it should not put them in debt for their entire life.
Right. I agree with
we haven't been able to come to a consensus to say, hey, we are all worthy of basic dignity and basic human rights. Once we that's where we have to start. You can't start with the policy and then argue over who deserves what. What do human beings, what do people that were born? None of us asked to be here, first of all. And the people who want to force
Are we sure about that?
the same people who want to force women to have labor and to produce children, despite the fact are the same people that don't support any of the systems needed to help mothers that can't afford to have children, which is the main reason that abortions do happen. Until we decide what we as a people deserve, we're always going to argue over who's worthy of what. And it's always going to be based on our poverty and oppression that only exists because we haven't said what we as a people deserve.
Right. Yeah, and that's known as sorry to cut you off. Please finish.
No, that's
okay. I was just gonna say that's known as a scarcity mindset, and you're right. It definitely is a scenario where we do have to say, you know what, this is what the human life is worth. These are the basic rights we as a country want to confer on our citizens, and this is what it's going to look like. And you know what? I was going to give you all the reasons why my policy made sense. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with you. Have that. Yeah, go ahead. Fight for what you believe in. Yeah. It is what it is. You definitely will have a fight to it will be a battle. It will be
Frederica's not playing.
And at the same time, you're going to have to, not even Frederica, I'm talking about GOP and everything. But you definitely, at some point also, would have to balance some of all the things you want to do. But you know what? You have to go with all your guns loaded, for lack of a better term. So that's okay. So let me ask you this. Let's go federal. Looking at your policies, it seemed like you would be simpatico with Bernie.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I was pro Bernie, not just for his policies, but just for consistency. I think consistency is super important because, again, we're fighting for the basic of basic humanity and human rights. And it's not to say I think it's so important too, to be able to grow and change your perspective and learn. I'm learning and growing every day. A lot of people on my team challenge me and my perspective and how far I think we can raise the ceiling. And they're like, no, higher, and I love that. Right. But when we looked at the pool of candidates we had to choose from, he always puts his actions where his mouth is, and someone that doesn't settle. And so that's what I wanted to say about what you said. You got to come with all your guns loaded, and absolutely, because that's what we haven't been doing. We've been settling for like little crumbs here and there, and they keep telling, we'll give you more later, we'll give you more next time. The next bill will be better, but we have to start smaller.
Yeah, we'll give you $1,200 for 3 months.
Yeah.
That's not going to do nothing for me.
Yeah, and we watched all the Democratic presidential candidates except for Bernie sit up there and trash single-payer Medicare for all and defend the private health insurance companies because they all, my opponent included, take money from them. And the thing is, they compare, okay, so if some other countries that have, the rest of the developed world has universal healthcare. We're the only ones. That's why I like to emphasize universal healthcare, because that's the point. Is obviously it's not Medicare in every country, but we're the only developed world in the country. I mean, only developed country in the world. But people like to say, but these other countries have, a public and a private option. But these other countries weren't built off of oppression and profiting off of other people's lives. And so the United States is so corrupt that there's no way to just create a public option and still leave the private health insurance companies, because all they're going to do is drive up the market. The public option's going to crash. And then everyone's going to be like, see, we told you Medicare for all wasn't going to work.
Right.
And the whole point is that healthcare shouldn't be a profitable industry, So that's why, like I said, it's just that framework of what we deserve and what we don't is so important, because I'll argue with you all day. What's the best way to implement it? What's the best way to take, the licenses and stuff away from these and all of that? I will argue with you all day, but I will not argue on the concept that we need single payer Medicare for all. Just like I will not argue, I will argue the best way to implement a Green New Deal, but I will not argue on the need for it, because it addresses all of the marginalized groups. It doesn't just address climate change. It creates jobs. It protects marginalized communities from Black people to brown people to Native Americans and their land. It's a basic declaration for, the basic human right outline of, hey, when we address climate change, this stuff needs to be covered. So I'll debate the best way to do things, but I will not go back and forth with people over if we deserve sweeping policies that actually protect us and give us clean air, clean water, and the ability to see a doctor.
Right.
That's very good. So with that in mind, I was going to say, rewind 3 months from now, 3 months ago, maybe, let's say 4 months ago. And it was all about the debates and all that. There was like 20-something, whatever the case were, candidates. If at the time I asked you your top 5, was Biden in your top 5 list of candidates?
Oh, let me think about that, because I never went top 5. I had 2. I was Warren or Bernie. That was my thing.
It was who and Bernie?
Warren. I did
Warren or Bernie. No Yang in there?
Huh?
No Andrew Yang?
I didn't think past 2. I just, I think about.
I get it though.
I
get it.
The UBI, okay, cool, but he didn't support single payer Medicare for all, so that $1,000 means nothing if I make one trip to the doctor or need one surgery or have one child. So yeah, I never really thought past it. But what I will tell you, I definitely had a different view of Biden at the beginning of all this than I do now. And that just comes with what I said about how I'm learning and I'm growing. And
so has it gotten better or worse?
Oh, worse for sure. Because the thing is, all these people, they do such a good job of painting such beautiful pictures of themselves and of each other. And so until you really, really dive into it, you don't see it. We're happy with this surface level fluff, but when you break it down, I just hit his record with women. And regardless of what anybody says about Tara Reid, being a 25-year-old girl, being someone who has been touched and groped and unwantedly bothered and everything so many times, I can't
Sorry about that.
But people defending him, it's like, I can tell you just look at how he interacts with women and girls. Like, it's not cool, bro. It's not even a question, that's such a basic thing. But my biggest issue with him is that he doesn't acknowledge his mistakes, and he's a grown man. And so for him to sit,
it's that entitlement, right? That's that entitlement, right?
To sit here and deny that his crime bill that he took so much pride in caused the mass incarceration and prison industrial complex and school to prison pipeline that we see today. The fact that there are decades of research proving it, and he can still get up there and say it's not true.
Yep.
Right.
And then can get up there and say, if you can't choose between me and Trump, then you're not Black.
Woo!
Right. What the fuck are you talking about, Joe?
Like, what, so I'm just very frustrated because I'm not here to, I can't blame anybody for being fed up with the Democratic Party or
Mhm.
fed up with electoral politics. That's why it's just so important that we do these things together and we have these conversations, because at the end of the day, they keep giving us who they want.
Right.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this, though. Let me ask you this. We have Joe Biden.
They're going to stop. The power structures run so deep. That's why there's almost one non-party affiliate for every 2 Democrats in my district.
That's crazy.
Over 110,000 non-party affiliates in District 24.
Wow.
Because they're people who are anti-establishment that would most likely vote with Democrats, but they see the corruption because of ideology, but they see the corruption in both parties because it's true.
There's a D. Once there's a D or an R in your name, they don't want to talk to you.
Right. But I'll say this. So OC is actually in Florida. So if you ever decide to run for governor and need a lieutenant, Sakinah, I nominate OC for that role if you ever need a lieutenant governor in the future.
Absolutely.
What part of Florida are you in?
I'm in Tampa.
Tampa. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's why I went to school. Yeah. I was like, I need to go up there sometime once all this is over.
There you go.
Your school kids did a number on the campus, man.
Really?
Yeah, during the protests. Well, I don't know if it's students really, but it was a bit rowdy up there.
I mean, they got USF. I'm in a multicultural sorority, and people don't realize why we even exist. You have NPHC, the Black fraternities and sororities, because back then Black people weren't allowed to join the white ones. And now you have the Multicultural Greek Council, where you have Latina based, you have Asian, Indian, all different kinds of fraternities and sororities. Mine is the most diverse in the country. It's, Sigma Lambda Gamma. It's over 110 ethnicities. It's beautiful. But, when we do have, white girls that join, they get asked by other white girls, why didn't you join a real sorority? Or super shady things, when you try to have events with them, it's super messy and it's super, it's still there. It's still there. It's blatant. You know what I mean? It's
yeah. Unfortunately, that's the society we live in. And that's what this protest is all about. It's just fixing some of those things some of those problems that we have in America today. So it's unfortunate.
The power of the governor. I didn't realize, until a year or two ago, how much power the governor has, and people, but that's what I'm saying. People are seeing now because it's so blatant. It's so out there. And social media helps so much.
It does. It
helps.
It's unbelievable what the police literally are doing, and they know the cameras are on. So what would they do if the
camera's not on? Right. Just imagine. What do you mean? What would they do? What they've been doing, though?
I know. I'm just saying.
Right?
And all
they just don't give a shit.
Are finally getting caught.
Well, we're getting them on tape, but
they don't care.
Repercussions. Yeah.
So. But Sakinah, we've got you to do all this politic talk and give us some inside details on your campaign and how you run it. Let's ask you a little bit of some fun stuff. What do you do for fun? How do you relax?
My favorite thing to do to relax is to go to the beach. I love being in the sun and I love the ocean. Yeah, a lot.
What beach do you go use out there on the East Coast?
I go to Hollywood Beach a lot.
Okay.
Or sometimes because I work in Fort Lauderdale, so I'll go to Fort Lauderdale Beach. South Beach is a little too rowdy.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes if I have friends in town, I'll take them down there and we'll hit some of the local spots and stuff like that. That is what I do love about it. But yeah, usually Hollywood Beach.
Right.
So that's my favorite thing to do to relax. And obviously Netflix is great too, but I'm trying to time down a little bit.
Yeah, I can't go wrong with Netflix. I'm watching Game of Thrones for the 5th time right now.
It's a really good show, The 100.
The 100?
The 100.
Yeah, it's really
I think I heard about that. That's where you come off a plane or something?
So much action, and it's one of those shows where anybody could die. You're never going to know. It's not predictable. And the
Anybody can die.
character development is phenomenal. So,
wait, what was the second one?
The character development.
Okay, all right, for the 100. Okay, yeah, I'll check it out once Game of Thrones is over. If I don't decide to watch it again and again.
I did buy rollerblades like 3 years ago, and I've only used them twice because I feel like I don't know how to stop. So
that'd be a problem.
Yeah, it's not good. So you're doing the right thing, being safe. Stay on the safe side.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, stay on the safe side. So yeah. But so that was my next question was some movies to watch, but you just give us some, so that's good. What about music? What are you listening to?
So I honestly I do a lot of Pandora, so just whatever. But I really like just like slow R&B and things, and I've been listening to a lot of praise music lately too. Lots.
Oh, praise and worship, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, you can never go wrong with that. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, especially like when I wake up in the morning, I usually start my day that way. Mm-hmm.
Yep, absolutely. Wake up in the morning, put the praise on. Get in the spirit and all that, and start acting the fool if you can.
Yeah, and try and start your day in the right mind. And there's a lot of negativity and crazy stuff going on, so gotta stay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But hey, listen, thanks for joining us. We truly appreciate it. It was a fun conversation. It was fun talking to you. Just learning more about your campaign. So just tell the folks listening where they can help, how they can help, your website, and all that good stuff.
Yes. So our website is sakinahforcongress.com, which is SAKINAHFOR, Congress.com. There you can sign up to volunteer. We are doing, a lot of virtual stuff. So even if you don't live in the area, you can still phone bank. You can help with social media and things like that. Obviously another huge way to help is to donate whatever you can, whether it's $20 or $5. You can get there from the website as well, but I'm not taking any corporate money, no super PAC money. I'm, unbossed and unafraid. I'm only here to represent the people, but we can't, my opponent has a net worth of $1 million and $300,000 in her campaign chest because she never has to use it. So if anything else, she can just drown us out by spending all her money. So we really just need to make sure our message is heard. So you can donate through the website or Cash App if it's under $100, Sakinah for Congress as well.
Absolutely. That's OC awesome. And I will be going on there to donate. I think I got about $1 million to donate.
Not do that.
Do not do that? Okay. All right.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, max is 2,800. So.
Max is 2,800. But hey, Sakinah, thanks for joining us, man. We really do appreciate you.
Absolutely.
We definitely wish you luck in your campaign. We know you got a tough battle, but you got the energy, you got the passion, and you've got the right dream. So definitely rooting for you, and we think you got this, man. Good luck.
All right. Thanks so much, y'all. Have a great night. Stay safe, okay?
Always. Absolutely. You too.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Point Noted Podcast with Johnny B and Rashad B. Follow us on Twitter at PTNoted and Instagram at Point Noted. Hit the subscribe and follow button to follow us and check out more episodes of us talking a whole bunch of shit. You've been noted.